Hello everyone. I hope that you are all doing marvelously well. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. Today, I will be talking about the best editions to use. As I was looking through my music library today and I was seeing all of the beautiful colors on the shelf, I realized this might help some of you guys out because after all, when you're looking to buy a score, or even if you're on IMSLP, you know that there are perhaps up to a dozen choices. So I am here to narrow it down and make it that much easier for you. I hope you appreciate the addition of candles in the background. And although you probably can't read the titles, I put 3 piano-related books in the background. You may be asking yourself, well, why are editions so important? And look, that's a valid question. As you see it, you may imagine the composer wrote a few notes, well, several notes actually, and, well, the editor simply printed them out. However, a lot of editions will make slight changes in pedal markings, dynamics, articulation, phrasing, and so much more, which can change our understanding of the piece and therefore how we present it to the world. So it's important that we use discrepancy when choosing a score. All right, let's get started with the alpha and omega of music. Yes, you know who I'm talking about. The one and only Johann Sebastian. And as you can see, I have my trusty Bärenreiter edition here. These are the 2- and 3-part inventions, and this has been lovingly used. So, why do I recommend Bärenreiter for Bach? I also recommend Bärenreiter for other composers, but focusing on Bach is because it shows the notes pure and simple. So Bach really didn't indicate much in his scores for piano. He did not mention dynamics, and he very rarely indicated articulation. So, by simply putting the notes in, you are left to your own devices to figure out what should be put in. I don't believe that Bach is black or white. I know that some people do have a very purist approach to Bach. That's fine. I think he's more flexible than that, and I think there is something beautiful about using una corda or even the sustain pedal in some moments of Bach. Another very popular edition for Bach is the Mugellini edition. I'll include a photo here. And I personally don't recommend the Mugellini edition. If you know the pianist Rosslyn-Turek, it often sounds to me as if Mugellini took everything that Rosslyn-Turek did and they did their best to transcribe it. And of course, I respect Rosslyn-Turek very much, and I admire her interpretations of Bach, but that isn't what Bach wrote. And I feel that as an interpreter, you should have the freedom, and you should figure it out for yourself, because your truth is not the same as Rosslyn-Turek's, and that is something that should be celebrated. Ta-da! Beethoven. And I have had this edition, look at the back, oh my goodness. I have had this edition since I was 18. I bought this at a music store in Kansas City, and I remember the cashier was so surprised that I was buying both volumes of the Beethoven sonatas, as these were quite expensive. I believe I paid $108 for them. And they couldn't understand why somebody so young was so interested in buying Heinrich or text. I'll tell you why. Because it's the best. I believe that Heinrich or text is the most reliable for Beethoven. However, I want you to keep something in mind. The fingerings are not always what I would recommend. Edited by Bertha Antonia Wallner and fingering by Konrad Hansen. Have you heard of Konrad Hansen? I certainly haven't, and I don't know why he thinks that he is this authority, but well, fingering is such a personal thing, so you need to do what you feel like and not what Konrad says. So when you are looking at this edition, please do keep that in mind. However, everything else is accurate and to the book as Beethoven wanted it, including articulation, dynamics, phrasings, pedal markings, etc., etc. If you are looking for another good Beethoven edition, just to compare, I would recommend Arthur Schnabel's edition. What comes to mind is his edition of the Beethoven sonatas. I'm not sure if he has editions for other pieces by Beethoven. I will look into that later. But it does give you a different perspective on performing the works, and, well, Schnabel was the first pianist to record the complete set, and if you listen to them, I really enjoy what he does. I would recommend it as a resource, 100%. Okay, next we are coming to the love of my life. Yes. Ta-da! Chopin. And I have several editions here. I'm going to start by telling you about my two favorites. So here I have two scores of his concerto in E minor. I have the Aker edition, which is considered the official edition by the Chopin competition in Warsaw. And I also have the Paderewski edition. There is not a huge difference between the Aker and the Paderewski editions. However, I find it useful to have both and just to compare. Perhaps there will be some discrepancies in terms of articulation, and I want you to realize that this was largely Chopin's fault. He was a finicky composer, so yes, it's true that he wrote everything in, every last detail, but well, he would often change his mind later. So there are several examples where he would write something different in a student's score, and now we are just left feeling very confused about what he may have wanted. So it's always good to have two sources so that you can compare and choose the one that you believe in the most, the one that is most convincing to you. Another excellent resource for Chopin is the beloved Cortot edition, and I have the etudes here, but Cortot provided an edition for many other pieces by Chopin, including the Ballades and the Scherzi, and I believe many more. I will do some research later. And what makes this so great, especially in the etudes, is that he provides 2 or 3 pages of technical exercises on how best to execute this Chopin etude. Moving on to a composer who is also very dear to my heart, Mozart. And for Mozart, yes, indeed, I do recommend Bärenreiter. Another edition that I definitely trust for Mozart is the Wiener Urtext edition. Likewise, I recommend the Vienna Urtext edition for Schubert. Here I have his last 3 piano sonatas, but of course I have the Vienna Urtext edition for his impromptus and a few other solo pieces. What I want you to keep in mind whenever you use an edition is to look at who the editor is. So here for the last 3 Schubert sonatas, we have Martino Tirimo, who I actually studied with at Trinity Laban for my postgraduate diploma. And well, he is incredibly knowledgeable on Schubert and has even taken it upon himself to finish some of Schubert's unfinished work. So when I see Tirimo's name on here, I know that this is a resource that I can trust. So please be sure to do your own research if you see an editor's name that you do not know. For example, with Liszt, most of the time I recommend Henley Urtext. I noticed that for the Liszt Sonata, Marc-André Hamelin is the editor, and oh my goodness, if we can't trust Hamelin, who can we trust, right? So if I see his name as an editor, go ahead, buy it with confidence. Finally, one last word of advice is the edition I would avoid at all costs. Sorry, Schirmer. Look, you can do better than Schirmer. I do not recommend Schirmer unless it's a last resort. So for example, I have Czerny exercises here, which I believe are only available in a Schirmer edition. in a Schirmer edition. And in that case, I would say, okay, so be it. You are playing these pieces for yourself. You will never bring them in front of a jury or in a performance situation. However, if you're playing Chopin, I believe that the Schirmer edition will just leave you feeling confused and befuddled. That's a no-go from me. I really hope that you guys found this video to be insightful and interesting. If you have any questions for me, I know I did miss several composers. So if you would like to know my personal recommendation for, perhaps Debussy or Liszt or Haydn, leave me a comment, send me a message on Instagram, send me an email, and I'll get back to you. See you next time.